Hi, tech people. I'm your host, Sean Worker of Adapters TechX, and delighted to have everybody join us again for the long form podcast that is the Adapters TechX. This is where we explore the current and future business trends and the leaders that make it all happen. Thanks to our friends over at No Vacancy and at Hunter Gatherer for all the partnerships and help and how we inspire each other to get better things done every day. Today, I'm with Markus, and Markus Feller is the head of digital innovation and hospitality at the SV Group, and particularly focused on Magic, which is a really interesting user experience both for customers and for employees to get stuff done quickly in a very native environment. He doesn't come from the hospitality industry, and that's probably a fresh set of eyes. As you know, with our book, The Adapters, we've encouraged leaders to look over the fence, be under the fence, and be inspired by other industries and bring that to the services space. We just finished this conversation for a 10-minute short burst. And for everybody out there, just kind of give you a quick summary. We really talked about the ins and outs of why there's a lot of gaps in the industry, across the industry, as to how to connect the employee and the guest experience and make it similar. And Markus, if you would just, give us a quick summary of why that's unique. It seems to be fairly unique in a user experience for both parties.
Yeah, happy to do that. And very much. Thank you very much, Sean, giving us the opportunity to share this. I think what we've realized fairly quickly, when you move into digital space, when you actually really want to have that seamlessness experience for the employees, you get rid of your reception. You basically put everything in the hands of your guests. Then you're in a digital model, and guests will contact you at 2:00 in the morning, at 1:00 in the morning. So what you need to do, then you need at the same time, then you think about the guest, you need to think about the employee. So give the employee a one-stop-shop solution where they actually have all the information handy. They know before the guests have a problem, and they can actually help them on their journey. Give you an example. I think that they don't have a problem actually checking in. They need to upload a passport. If they don't do this, our basically solution actually prompts us and say, hey, look, this guy's actually arrived today. Basically ping him and basically make sure that they actually do this, that they can have a good experience. Another one is basically, you need different, and you need different systems to create that experience. So about 10 to 15 systems. And what we basically do on a real-time basis, we see, are these systems alive? Because the worst thing is basically that you stand in front of your door, you want to go get in there, and this thing doesn't work. So we actually have to create that possibility to know what is happening from a process flow with your guests, and we know what is happening from a tech point of view with the guests. And the best thing about this system for the employees, it's a one-stop shop solution, can be trained in 4 hours, and they can do the majority of their work from one platform. So they don't need to go to several systems; they just go to one. And I think that is very, very powerful, because I think it makes also life easier for the employees, much more fun, and then it basically helps you to actually also maintain them and also get new employees very, very quickly. And then
so focus a little bit on the employee side, because as we highlighted in our short quick podcast, is that employees and labor is center of many of the investors. It's hard to believe investors are putting labor at the top of the agenda. So why is your product any different than anybody else's in solving for labor problems?
I think on various aspects, I think when I just said, I think also in the first episode, that our guests can do everything digitally. So that basically knocks off all that admin stuff. It's gone. It's gone,
Like, what does everything mean? Just for those that are listening now and watching, what does everything mean? What does the app do that the others don't?
Well, I mean, you book, you actually do everything on your phone. You upload your passport, you basically sign. There's no more paperwork involved. You don't have to stand in front of a reception.
My credit card, it's all secure. My passport, obviously, depending on where you're viewing this in the world, not everybody has to load their passport, but
sure.
in but in Europe generally, passports are required at check-in. So you upload your passport, which is obviously a security issue as well.
Sure.
You upload that. You upload personal data. You pay. You book. Can you change rooms? Can you say, I don't like that? Can I pick a room?
Yes, sure. I mean, you can do this basically all from your phone. And the best thing, Sean, is sorry.
So I can pick a room and say I want number 5.
This is a feature that is still coming, that you can actually pick the exact room that you want, and our platform can actually do that. And I think the interesting bit, Sean, is when you come a second time, you click in, check in with one click, because
so you save all the data. You build up the profile. It's so much faster now on the employee side.
Yes.
When the employee, like I get hired by you guys today, how long does it take me to go? Because I've been in the hotel business a long time, and I've worked with all the systems, and I still don't know what everybody's doing right now. Staring at me at the front desk, just clicking away. Have you taken all that away?
Yes. So, and John, forget about the front desk and the clicking, because that disappears, because it's actually done basically by the guest in an intuitive way, And I think now over to the employees. Why is our solution so different? Because we bring all these data points together, and we bring it in one very simple dashboard. It's basically, we work a lot with color. When you talk about, everyone talks about user centricity, and they also always look to the guest. But we actually looked at the employee journey, to the employee. What do the employees need to make their job easy? That's why we not only give them a dashboard where they can do the majority of their work from there. It's done in a very simple way. I give you the example of housekeeping. With housekeeping, we just simply work with colors. It's a web app. We work with colors, and then it's basically red, orange, or green. Everyone understands that, and it's prioritized the rooms. The system prioritizes the rooms. So you don't really need to fiddle around with little, signs or whatever. Basically, the system really guides you on that way. And I think that's what makes us so unique, because we bring all that data together, and we actually present it in a very intuitive and very nice way.
So now let's kind of broaden it out. When you think of tech trends that are out there, just generally, now moving away from magic for a while, is where do you see the trends and fads going? Like, that's a crazy fad, that's never going to last, or this is a really trend that everybody should think about and really explore?
Yeah, I think, look, on the trend side, it's I googled it a bit last night. What are the leading websites are saying? It was funny. Some of these are no longer trends. They're actually migrating to cloud. This is no longer a trend. This is actually happening. So, but when you ask me, I think one, it's a boring one, but a very, very, very important one is, there's so many different solutions out there. It's a zoo. It's a jungle. So, and I think hospitality, because they're sometimes a bit desperate, they really want to jump on that. They pick all these different solutions, and guess what? How do you keep ownership of your processes and your data? This is absolutely crucial. And I think what we will see is basically consolidation, and people are actually looking for that. That's why actually that's how we've built it, to give you ownership of all your processes and data. That's one thing. To a more interesting one, data. And coming from the credit card industry, I know what you can actually do with data. And then if you combine data with AI, then it becomes very, very interesting, being it that you just, again, that you make
data plus artificial intelligence and
yes.
Nowadays, how would you explain artificial intelligence to, somebody who doesn't specialize in tech? Just a very brief description.
Yeah, I think it's at the end of the day, it's a set of rules. A set of rules that you apply to a problem. Give you an example, basically what we have built, the asset, is that we build automated guest profiles. So we actually get different data. I book twice, 3 times, and then you have a set of rules that checks, is this Marcus, or on different parameters. And if all these parameters are right, then it matches. So that's in a easy way. That's what you can do actually with artificial intelligence. Why is it so powerful? Because it computes. The computing power is really, really strong. It does these hypotheses, or these rule sets are limitless, and you can actually apply it in a very easy way. and then get ready.
Let me see if I've got this right. So for those that are listening, and here's sort of practical example. So with some of the stuff you developed, and I do want to thank you for the notion of talking about data, and it's actually the boring stuff, but it's actually the stuff that makes it all work, right? So when you take the data is nothing. It just tells you my age, my profile, passport, right? That's just data. But how I use the building, how the employee uses the building, the time and date, the date and day of time. Time is a big part of the valuation, right? When people are checking in, where the crush points are, when delivery should be made, what's the optimum time to make a bed? Is it more efficient with one employee as a housekeeper than the other one? They clean that much faster. What are the key learnings from that? When should you order? What's the best pricing? That's the AI piece, right? The intelligent piece that scrapes all this through these
exactly
rules.
You know, I think the AI, when it comes to play, I think first of all you need to bring that stuff together in an intelligent way, and then you need to start matching it, you know, to make it to present it in an easy way that operators can use it again, you know, to create again a great experience. Again, a very easy example: you come back the second time, basically you click in, you actually check in one click, or you actually get different information because you know where you need to go now. You don't need to present the same stuff that you got when the first time there was there. We know you.
Dynamic. It's saying, oh,
it's,
I know.
It's dynamic. It's
Marcus
dynamic.
Checks in late, and he likes a upper floor, and doesn't want to be next to the lift, and will always buy his own stuff, and doesn't want to be contacted.
Exactly.
I don't know. Do you do that? You just kind of don't want to be talked to, or, you know, how does that go?
Sean, I think, you know, I think there's
a profile. What's your profile? Come on, tell us about your profile. You got a profile in there. Come on.
Well, I have a profile, but to be honest, you know, I have a big family. We don't really stay that much in hotels. You know, we're 6 people and the dog and 6 chickens. You know, so that's why it's a bit of a. It's.
Are you telling me you take the dog and the chickens on holiday? Is that? I mean, you take everybody.
No, we actually stay most of the time. We actually stay at home if we have a little farm, you know. But anyway, no, look, I think what the interesting bit is that you can do lots of stuff with data. I think what is really important now, actually now talking with my credit card hat on it, this all needs to be done with the consent of the guest. It needs to be done in a compliant way. And believe me, I know where I'm coming from, because financial services industry, they're very tough on PCI and GDPR. And I think that's then links me to the second bit of the trends. You know, it's privacy and cybersecurity. I know it's a boring topic, but I tell you, with all these different solutions which are out there popping up like mushrooms, I think you as a hotelier, and it will be your responsibility to take care that data is safe. But obviously then that you can actually work with the data, but always with the consent of the guest. Because if you actually start messing with it, I tell you, they will not like it. You know, they will not appreciate it. But if you actually use the data to create sort of these wow moments, like check in with one click, putting the same caution that they had the last time, they will really value that, you know. And that's really I think that's the fine way of actually getting the data, but also working with the data. So I think really data and the privacy, cybersecurity, I think these are big things that are on the radar. And then maybe a last trend, I think, which is very interesting, what is happening in the room. You know, in the room, when you work with like light sensors, you work like with energy sensors to just save resources. Or on the other hand, with natural language processing. You know, it's great. We are used to that at home, you know, and I think in a hotel it should be the same thing. You know, I can order my food just by speaking, because I don't like to type. I just want to speak. Or I can actually activate my TV. It already works here in Switzerland, but I think just very naturally, you know, I think a lot of stuff is happening in the room, just to making the experience for the guests again superb, you know. And all what you want is, at the end of the day, you just want it to come back and then give you great reviews.
So this is all about people at the end of the day, and you're a very passionate guy about what you're doing. You have a lot of energy to drive this, clearly. I haven't known you that long, but you're a nuclear power plant. So, you know, when you think of what can hospitality and retail do to improve its image, you know, to attract the best talent to the space, considering it's all about people?
Very, very good question, Sean. And maybe just very, very quickly, why did I leave after 16 and a half years the financial services industry, where margin are really a lot bigger than in hospitality, where I had lots of more money to actually do innovation? Why did I do that? Because when you love
I don't know. You asked the question. So, Markus, why did you do that?
Look, because I love innovation and transformation. And what better place is it to do it in a space which is emotional, it's tangible? And again, if I need to explain to my four girls, what am I doing? Before in credit card, well, now they get it because they want the card. But now I can take it to a restaurant. I can take it to a hotel. And they understand very quickly. And that's what I think is so great about that industry. That's why, and people actually told me when they knew I'm joining a hospitality company in January 2020, they told me, you are mad, But I think, and what can we do, Sean? I think, what can we do? And I have a very clear picture on that. First of all, you need cool stories. And there are tons out of there, Basically, you have a magic story that I just told about, or you take the Stay Kooook story. That's now like with the, not even tech, but every company has these stories. Talk about these stories, and it's not difficult. It's not the CEO that needs to talk. It's not the head of HR that needs to talk. It's the people who do the job, and then I think that basically really resonates well. And then I think if you get a chance to bring people or convince people like myself into that industry, it just helps, because I think that industry is really interesting. You can do a lot, and I think that's really about giving people who actually have been exposed to these things, giving them a stage, and let them talk about it. It works.
That's an excellent point. Do you think the hospitality, retail, travel, and hotel space is scared of people like you coming in?
No, not at all. When I arrived at SV, what I realized very quickly, great bunch of people, and I think it's not just goes for SV, but I think it's a great culture. Great, what they do, and this is part of hospitality. We want to do good service for the guests. When I started open innovation at Swisscard 10 years ago, I had incubators who brought startups together with corporates. And when I started SV, I started looking what is out there that does the same for hospitality. I tell you, not much. I think, yes, Plug and Play has a vertical, but it's for the big guys. What Michael Levy has done now with Cube Ventures, it's excellent because it gives startups a base. That's just one thing, And I don't think people are scared, but I think people sometimes just don't know how. And I think if you actually give them access to these platforms, I think it's great. Maybe another angle, it's the majority of people, when I landed here at SV, I think coming from the industry, they went to the industry schools. Now, what do you think 5 or 6 years ago, what did they talk about when it comes to innovation, transformation? Did they talk about lean startup, design thinking? You said, no, they didn't. Now they start doing it. So you need to start there, and basically really make them aware of what is out there.
That's an excellent point. Well, one of the anchors of why this show became a show was largely to say we've got to look over the fence. The other part is we don't, as an industry, nurture startups. It's hard to find a place where there's a startup culture, either at the conferences or the one-on-ones or the associations. It's very operations driven as opposed to the universe around that, which is hopefully something we're inspiring to in as many facets as we can. We're very passionate about in the notion of startups, and that notion of what you just brought up, which is, there's other people out there that have different ideas, and academia has a big role to play in that.
And to be honest, John, it's not so difficult, And I think why sometimes it takes a bit longer to adopt, because it's a transformation. It's not about tech. It's about mindset and people. When do people come along? When they see it, when they have the chance to experience it. And I love that, to actually not only do cool tech stuff, but working with organizations, to create a movement. You don't move everyone, But I think you just need to move a few. If they have success, the others will move too. Most of them. And I think what I've just learned, when I started this 10 years ago at Swisscard, I will also have people say, hey, why do we do this stuff with startups? But once they see what we can actually do, they all wanted it. That's really, I think, giving the people, just open up their eyes. I mean, I've never heard of a hackathon done in hospitality. I've not heard it 10 years ago.
Is that crazy? I mean, I got involved in a hackathon with the University of Houston 2 years ago. And
okay.
I don't think that's been repeated, but a lot of great ideas came out of that. So maybe we should start a hackathon. I mean, I've done one, and these were schools from all over the world, and oh my God, the ideas that came out of it were phenomenal. But
I think, look,
a COVID issue, I think. But fair play to the University of Houston and Arlene Ramirez, who really championed that, did a great job with that. So anyway, go on.
Look, a hack is just one example, and I think what I'm about is help people to see, so look beyond your industry. Then you just basically, you need a couple of people who actually stimulate that. You create the platforms, and then it'll work, because I think when you're exposed, it happened the same thing to me 10 years ago. I didn't have a network in the startup ecosystem, and then I got exposed to that. I met great entrepreneur. I thought, how do they think about it outside of the box, disruptive, Yes, I was fortunate enough to go to the Silicon Valley. I spent a bit of time in Stanford. That helped definitely as well. But it's actually not that difficult. Just give people platforms where they can experience it in a non-sales, non-pushy way, but just give people a chance like us, just to share. I'm not here to sell magic, if someone is interesting, yeah, sure, we can have a talk, but I'm sharing the story that we did, And I think, as you said before, I think the hospitality, if to do innovation, the hospitality industry is great because it's tangible, it's emotional. And I can tell you, I can post now a lot more on LinkedIn than what I've done at Swisscard in the financial service industry, because it's so much easier, because people understand, That's why I love what I do. And I think we're on a great journey as a whole in the industry,
So as we begin to wrap up now our conversation, and if you say, look, here's the 2 to 4 things that people should take away from our conversation today, what would they be?
I think when you maybe different messages to different audiences, but I think when you're a hotelier and you really want to be serious about digitization because you want to offer that experience to your guests, you want the efficiency, think about it how you want to do it, because don't rush into just buying this, and then all of a sudden you realize, hey, this is actually worse than before. And again, it's not about selling magic. It's really think about what you really want, what you want to offer your guests, but think about at the same time your employees, because this is really, really critical, I think that's sort of one message to hoteliers that are listening now, And then I think maybe on another level, in terms of that whole, where do I get stimulation and where can I actually get inspiration, I think and really look across other industries, look into accelerators, incubators that have been established for 10 to 12 years in the financial services industry, in RegTech, in PropTech, there's so much you can actually learn. And the interesting bit there, these themes, sometimes they go horizontally, they're not specifically just looked at only in one industry, taking the example of cybersecurity, or what could you do potentially with blockchain. It's not limited to financial services. It's not limited to insurtech. It's stuff that we can learn. So my message there would be really start exploring, look into other industries. There are great, there are great platforms out there. They don't even cost money, Start connecting basically with guys like myself. Happy to also to connect you with others. That's how I've learned, And I think it's great to actually start working with startups, because it puts you in a different mode. They think differently. They don't have a lot of time. They don't have a lot of money. So they need to be fast. So that's what I really learned, how to really drive innovation and go. I think maybe that's my last comment. When you innovate, go and talk to your guests. Do innovation with your guests, for your guests. Don't hide in a room for 6 months and then you come up with your product. Really, I mean, do one day. It's the same day you bring in your first customers. Let's get the feedback onto that. And I tell you, it will be hard because they will tell you, no, we don't like it. And maybe you love the idea. Do it with your guests or with your customers, for your customers.
Love that. And so thank you a bunch, Markus, for taking the time to share all your insights. And, you're on a path that is explosive and totally on trend. So, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. So if anybody's checking it out, check it out. What's the best way to find you there, Markus? Is LinkedIn, I take it?
LinkedIn is my preferred channel, yes. And thank you very much for having me, Sean.
It's a pleasure. So we'll talk soon again, I'm sure. So thanks everybody for taking the time to listen to a grounded, sensible conversation with a technology leader. And when you think about some of the trends that were highlighted, everything from data and AI and insight to privacy, cybersecurity, and the importance of that, they're big themes, but they're very approachable and get help doing that because personal data protection and the use of that is paramount to, just good risk management in your business. And then, that other big topic about labor and people and telling the cool stories, quote unquote, from Markus, about the cool stories and telling the story of your business through others, through those either vendors, it could be partners, but more importantly, the people that are actually doing the job every day. And people like me who are CEOs, it's probably a good idea that everybody else tells the story than people like me. And that's super important in attracting the right people to the space and looking over the fence, looking at other stories, looking at other companies, and blending in new thought leaders like Markus, who has come from a highly regulated industry and is inspired to change the world inside hospitality. So with that, thank you again to our partners at Hunter Gatherer and Glenn and crew over at No Vacancy for always promoting the show and being part of the show. Look for us across multiple channels. We have obviously a YouTube channel where these long form interviews are available for you to watch. In addition to that, we've got our book, The Adapters, The Fourth Age of Change, available across all good booksellers, digital and physical. And finally, to you, thanks for listening. And we look forward to seeing you again very soon. Look for the next one. They're out every Wednesday.